So you should have gotten a got it message. And if you just click on that, then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, today, in order for us to know who can and cannot access the Zoom chat feature, which we'll be using, I'm asking you to put the number of the picture that reflects your mood right now. And if you cannot access our chat, you could give a reaction. So maybe you have a reaction that's like a thumbs up, or you have a reaction that's yeah, a reaction that's maybe like a sleepy emoji. Awesome. All right. So we've got some people who are very zen with number 6, just doing their yoga, relaxing a bit. Grant's a 3. Oh, Grant, that's nice. Are you either feeling like all confused or are you feeling stressed? What's that about?
I feel like that's an image of my brain, like a cross section of my brain at this point.
Yeah, that's possible too. And then we got somebody who's like ready to go, teamwork, yay. All right. Well, we appreciate that. And that helps us, like I said, to see who can use our chat feature and who can't, so that we can make sure that we get everybody uh represented today and everybody's able to join in. So welcome to the FDMS special topic, exploring the lesser known features in FDMS. This is a brand new session, so I'm a little nervous right now because I've never done this one before, but all the features I'm familiar with, and I'm hoping by the time you all are done, you will be more familiar with these as well. Some of you may be brand new to the session and you haven't seen these features, and some of you, this just might be a refresher if you've already seen them demonstrated in other sessions. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yay. Karen's giving me some pumping me up. I appreciate that. But for some of you who are just getting a refresher, it's hopefully you have questions, anything you want to ask. I will be happy to slow down, do things over, and answer anything. And if we have time at the end, maybe there's some lesser known features that you'd like to ask about, and we can work on those too. So my name is Heidi Griffith. I'm one of the FDMS training specialists, and I'm being assisted today by my buddy Grant Spencer. Say hi, Grant.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic February 5th.
Yes. Yeah, so even though we are presenting this session virtually, we want to encourage you to interact with us. Again, ask questions. And speaking of that, we are going to be utilizing that Zoom chat feature as we tested out with our icebreaker before we started the session. That can be found at the bottom of your Zoom window. There's a chat icon, and if you click on it, a pop-up window is going to appear, and you can type your question or comment there directly. The default selection is set to everyone, so just be aware of that. If you don't change the selection, others will be able to see your questions or comments, which I think is awesome. It's very helpful because, believe me, if you've got a question, somebody else probably has the same question. So don't be shy. Questions are how we all learn. If you cannot use the Zoom, and we may have some people who cannot, if you can't use that chat, then if you would just like raise your virtual hand, let us know that you want to ask a question, or just come off of mute and ask question as needed. We want to be very informal in this session and help you get as much out of it as possible. I got a new picture for this one, Grant. What do you think? Doesn't look exactly like me, but I have been in her shoes before.
Looks a little bit stressed.
Yeah, right. So what if the internet does go out? Well, Grant and I are in 2 different states, so we don't expect that we'll both lose internet access at the same time, but you just never know. So in case that happens on our end, we do have a backup system in place, but it's going to take a few minutes to get that rolling. We set our session up to take you back into that waiting room in case this happens. And if you could just give us like 3 to 5 minutes to get back online so we can continue the session, we'd appreciate it. However, if it's longer than 3 to 5 minutes, we'll send you an email with an explanation and an alternate plan. We don't want to waste your time. So what's up for today? What's our agenda look like? This training session is going to be a little different from others that I have presented. So if you've been in my session before, you know that I typically go over the slide deck and then spend the rest of the time in FDMS doing a live demonstration. In this session, however, I'm going to be going back and forth between the slides and the live demo. And because of this format, the agenda today may seem like a little disjointed because most of the lesser known features don't necessarily relate one to the other. So hopefully that explanation will help you to process the format I'm using easier and kind of be able to follow along with me. The first topic we're going to explore today is the enhanced search and filter feature. This was released in 2 phases back in the fall of 2024. So some of you may be aware of it. We've covered it in a couple of our sessions, but there are some things that I want to point out and make sure that you're aware of. Next, we're going to move on to some new columns that have been added to the search document list level and also the inbox document tab and the work queue and even the comments tab. These include the attachments column, the number of submissions column, and there's also a new posted date column, which is only found in the search documents tab. So I'll be going over that. Reassigning um, documents is something that's pretty important to users. And originally, documents are signed at the assignments level, but you can do this. You can assign documents on a document by document basis. And so this can be really helpful, like as a workflow or kind of a communication tool so that everyone knows who is working on which comments, for example. And this is really helpful if you have a group of people that are working within one docket. That just helps you not to trip over each other or to do double work. So I'm going to show you how to reassign documents one by one. And I did skip something here, and I apologize. I didn't talk about the pagination or that persistent personalized view. So in the search and filter feature, we do now have a pagination option. So this is going to be really helpful for those of you with very large comments that like large comment events. Because in the search and filter, you used to be only able to see 10,000 at a time, and you had to kind of adjust the dates to be able to see everything. Now, all of your comments are going to be shown at the same time on the search feature. However, they will be divided into up to 10,000 comments on a page. So we still have, you can still only see 10,000 at a time, but now you're going to be able to see all of them and get to all of them and work with all of them. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Also, with the columns in the search and filter, I'm going to show you how you can move those, how you can resize them, how you can hide the columns that you don't really need to work with, and how that's going to persist. In other words, when you go back, as you'll see today, when I go back into FDMS, I've changed some things, and it's going to remember what you yourself have chosen as your personalized view. So I think that's kind of cool, and I will show you that. So apologies for skipping over that in my agenda review here. The ability to move documents is located in the Details tab Actions drop-down menu, and I'll show you where that's at. And that feature can be helpful if you upload a document or a comment and you accidentally put it in the wrong place. Or the wrong docket. So this is going to help you not have to call the help desk to get that help. Although sometimes the user can't move a specific document, and that may be because it's posted, and that would be a need for a call to the help desk. So I'll try to show you those distinctions today in the presentation, and I'm also going to show you how you can change the type of document. So if you accidentally upload a comment and you accidentally upload it as a notice or a supporting and related materials, we can fix that in a pretty easy way by moving that document, or excuse me, changing that document type. Withdrawing documents. Sometimes people change their minds and we need to withdraw a document, or maybe an FR document has maybe a typo in it or some misinformation and it needs to be withdrawn and we publish a replacement. So I'm going to show you where those comments would be found, because sometimes they're feels like it's a little bit hidden, because the comments that you took on the original document, if there were any, and then the comments that you're taking on the one that is now posted, if the other one was withdrawn, they're going to be kind of in the same location, but you're going to need to know the trick for looking for those. So I will be showing you that today. Lots of users have asked about restriction and redaction. What's the difference in FDMS? And I'm going to show you how to redact comment text and how to restrict files, attachments. And what that looks like, I'll show you what it looks like too on regulations.gov. Topic 6 saved a lot of users time. I've had so many users tell me that they're actually taking the time to rename their comments. And you don't have to, sometimes you do have to do it, but sometimes I can help you out with at least getting part of it there. I talked to a gentleman the other day who was having to redo every single comment, and I was able to help him by changing some some configurations in the admin module to make that just a little bit easier on him. So I will go over the titling of comments. And then if you think it's something that you're interested in doing, if you are the agency admin, then you can hit me up and I'll show you how to fix it. And if you're not, contact your agency admin and ask them to get together with me, because this is actually in our admin module, which I won't be going over today, but the admin module is only available to agency administrators. Last but not least, before the additional support at the end, the help desk and has gotten a lot of requests and questions, and so have I, about the FR feed. So is your FR feed clogged with old documents? Used to be you had to scroll past all those old documents to get to the newest one, but we have flipped that order and now all the new documents are on the top of lists. However, I still think for some people that number there, when we're telling you in training that you shouldn't have a large number in your FR feed and then you do, it's probably stressful for you. So I'm going to show you some ideas today on how you can get those documents out of there and where you can put them and what that would look like, what they look like currently on regulations.gov, and then what they would look like once you move them. All right, any questions on our agenda so far? Everybody still with me?
Why don't you give us a thumbs up, guys? Let us know you're still tuned in, ready to go.
Yay, thank you. Perfect. All right. So again, as I said, I'm going to be flipping back and forth in FDMS. So as I'm switching back and forth, please make sure if you have any questions, ask me if there's anything inside the actual live demo that you want to see again. No problems. Just let me know. So I was kind of starting today with an FAQ about that enhanced search and filter feature. And the first question that I anticipate users might want to know is, which of the user roles can actually access and use the enhanced search and filter features? And the answer to that is, ta-da, all of the FDMS users can access and use the enhanced search and filter feature. It is available to agency viewers all the way up to agency administrators. However, my next question says, which of the FDMS user roles can process documents from the search document tab? And here is where that gets a little iffy as far as the question before. So the question before was which users can access it. And this one is which users can actually process things or change things. And the answer to that is that it's permission based. So your agency administrators, your docket managers, and your rule writers can all change the status, for example, and they can do that in batches. They can also update metadata fields, which are those fields where you have information like the title of a comment or the number of submissions field, saying how many people or entities the comment represents. However, only agency administrators and docket managers can post from the search and filter feature. So just a review in case you were wondering, that's what actually can happen, or those are the roles that can actually do things in the search and filter. However, the agency viewers can see everything, they can access everything. That search is really important, and to rule writers too, to be able to find those documents and dockets that they're looking for. So will the new feature filter, will the new feature filter comments based on the Federal Register document or phase? So when you make a docket, you have to create a phase. And that's like, sometimes let's just use a rulemaking docket. The first phase might be an advance notice of proposed rulemaking, for example. Now, if you have an additional phase, which might be the notice of proposed rulemaking, those are both Federal Register documents. They're both in the same, docket, and even though they're in different phases, and they both may have comments or supporting and related materials that go along with them. So when I go and I look for a docket and I go into all of the documents, will those be separated by FR document or phase? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, the search and filter is going to show all the comments, all the FR documents and all of the supporting and related materials from that particular docket. So let me kind of give you a visual here. You know, I like my visuals. All right, so what is going to actually show up in that search docket tab? All the supporting and related materials and all the comments and also all the FR documents from all of the phases. So just everything, basically all documents will show up because currently there's no way to search by the phases. So I apologize for that. There might be some ways to kind of use that filter though. You could use it by the dates if you know when your document comment due date was. So you might be able to search it that way. But as far as like being able to just click a button and only have a certain phase or FR documents comments, that's not there yet. We do have a type keyword field, and I think it's very helpful, especially because sometimes users need to find a specific comment, maybe by a specific user or group. And it does search beyond the shown results. So what that means is a lot of times in our system, for example, sorting, you can only sort what you can see. So the sorting would only be if you had 4 pages of 100 each, it's going to sort each page separately. So it's not going to pull in when it's sorting from all 4 pages, it's only going to sort that first one. But the keyword field is different. It searches data beyond the shown results. So if you have 10,000 comments, you don't have to go to each page and put the keyword in. It's going to search everything. It ignores capitalizations, so you don't have to worry about that. And it does work with partial strings. So example, this is not a great example, but train would find, a larger train-2024-0001 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So just be aware that that keyword field, it's really helpful, especially this part, being able to search data beyond the shown results. A little bit more information on that keyword search. It actually is going to, what it considers when you're in the docket metadata keyword field, it's going to look at the docket ID, the title, the type, and the short title. In the document metadata, it's going to search the document ID, the title, the type of document, the subtype, if you have a subtype, and the status. Okay, and also, so then the title, for example, when you're looking at comments, one of the reasons titling is so important is if you're looking for titling or a comment from a specific user, it's not going to look at the text comment or the submitter info. It's only going to look at the title. So if your comments are titled with the person's name, then they're going to be really easy to locate. It doesn't search those docket keywords, which I just wanted to point out since literally the word is keyword search, but it does not include the docket keywords that are entered by the user. All right, any questions so far before we move into FDMS for a minute?
Don't see anything in the chat there, but feel free to post anything in the chat so we can share with everybody. If you've got some experience that you can drop in on us and share with the group, sometimes that's very, very beneficial, especially for newbies, but for everybody in general. If you have a more individual question, just direct message me through the chat.
Absolutely. All right, so FDMS locked out accounts. I wanted to point this out. Grant and I are trying to hit as many people with this information as possible. I just wanted you to be aware that if you happen to see, and everyone sees the loading circle for like 2 or 3 seconds before the actual application loads on your screen. But if you see this and it's persistent, it doesn't go away and just keeps spinning. And then you think to yourself, oh, I haven't logged in for 30 or more, for more than 30 days into FDMS, then you probably have been locked out of your account. You're going to need to contact your agency administrator and ask them to reset your account in the admin module. And then you need to go in and go ahead and log in as soon as possible, because that does eventually, I think it's after 24 hours, it does not continue to let you in and they'll have to reset it again. Only the agency administrators can reset your account. The help desk, unfortunately, can't reset the account. They can, however, give you your agency administrator's contact information. So you could email them and ask them to please go in and unlock your account. And also, I get this question from bigger agencies. it doesn't have to be your quote unquote agency administrator. Any of them can do that. So I know that, I always use EPA as my big example. They've got different regions and they've got agency administrators who work in different regions. But if someone's on vacation or out on leave, you could contact one of the other agency administrators and ask them if they would reset your account. Not sure what your agency's policy is on that, but it is possible. So if you are an agency administrator, you might want to let your FDMS users know about this issue so they can avoid it by logging in and clicking around in FDMS at least every 30 days. And you do have to actually perform an action, like click on something, open a tab, something has to be done. You can't just log in and then click on log out. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to share my screen. Let me switch here. All right. Okay, can everyone see my FDMS screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so here we are on the FDMS homepage. And the very first thing I want to point out is up here. This is the search bar, and you might be familiar with that, but there are some changes. We got a new icon here, which gives us the search options. And you will see that the dockets and documents search is the default. But right now I'm going to change it so I can look for a specific docket. If you wanted to look for a specific document, you can click on that, and then you'll see some of these fields will change. Right now, I'm going to be looking for a specific docket. And so I'm going to look and see. I have all different types. I have rulemaking and non-rulemaking in my agency. I'm not going to, since I'm using the exact, ID, I don't have to use these drop downs, but I do want to show you that they are available. You could put your RIN in. Some agencies do have subtypes for their dockets. Mine doesn't, so there's nothing there for me to click on. And then you can also search by the date it was created, and it will actually give you a range, but I'm not going to do that either. And the number of results to display does default to 1,000, but you can go up to 10,000. I am going to actually set mine to 200 because I want to be able to show you that pagination. I want to show you how those pages work. I don't have over 1,000 yet in my agency, so I'm going to have to just kind of fool the system a little bit so it'll show you that. So let me take this out of here for right now. Copy, cut that out. Okay, so if I put all of this information in, it's going to show me basically every docket from my entire agency. So I'm going to search, and I get a docket tab. And you can see down here that I do have pages. And remember that I'm going to show you in a minute, but that keyword, it does transcend what I can see here, which is probably it's 200 on a page. So it's going to transcend that. But the sort, for example, doesn't transcend that. If I use my sort button here, it's not going to transcend that. I'm going to have to go to each one of these, or go back here, put in the largest number, and then I only have one giant page, and then I can sort everything together. Okay, so that's kind of the sort option that I wanted to point out. So here are all the dockets in my agency. I have 809. This grows all the time because we're still making dockets all the time in our training sessions. But now I want to look for a specific docket because I want to see all the documents in the specific docket. So I'm going to paste in 2023-0032, which is the 32nd docket created in 2023 by my agency. You do not have to put your agency acronym in first, but you can. So I'm going to search for that one. When I do, I get my docket ID, my title, the type, and when it was created. Now, a couple of things that you can see. I can't see my entire title here, so I'm going to actually grab this, make it bigger so I can see it. I'm going to scroll over. If I wanted to make it a little, like if I want to try to squeeze everything onto one screen so I can see it, I can move those around. The other thing that I can do is I can actually move columns. So I'm going to move this column. I'm holding onto my mouse, and when I drop it, wherever I drop it at, that's where that column is going to land. And when I was talking about the persistence, this is going to persist. So if I move this docket ID here, all of my docket IDs are going to be located second, right next to the type. All right, so just be aware of that. When you do move it, it is going to persist. The show hide columns, I already have used this, and when I logged back in today, you can see that the RIN is not, that column is not here. Neither is the subtype column. I don't use those, and so for me, I have gone ahead and hid those columns. When you're in here, your default will look like this. And when I hit the default, everything comes back and it goes back to the right location. So, you know, like I said, in my case, there's some that I don't use, you know, or maybe, you know, I only have rulemaking dockets. And so that's when I want to hide maybe the type of docket, hide the RIN because I'm a non-rulemaking. If you're a non-rulemaking agency, I don't have subtypes, so I want to hide that and then apply, and it's going to fill that up. And then I'll be able to see or have more real estate and fewer columns here in the middle of my search docket. Now, if I go to my document, and all the documents from 2023-0032 are going to show up. There are 282 results. Now, what I'm able to do here is use my filters, and I can, for example, I'm going to look just for my public submissions, which are my comments. If you have subtypes, you can choose by subtype. Those have been entered in for you. I'm going to look for all of them that are in pending post. And you could select the modified date or the received date. And what you would do is those would be ranges. I'm not going to do that. So then I'm going to click the filter button. Now I have hidden my dates received, dates modified, and the subtype. But let me go ahead and default and apply all those so you can see. If I scroll over, all that information is here. Excuse me. If I, you know, I just, for right now, I know that I'm looking at public submissions. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and take that type out. And I'm also going to take this status out because for right now, I have filtered by those. So I don't really need them. I also am not interested in my received or modified columns. So I'm going to get rid of those too. And so now I have my document ID, my title, how many attachments, whether or not the date when those were posted. And because this is new, unless it was, oh, well, actually this would not be filled out because these are my in pending post. So they're not posted. So honestly, I don't need to see that either. So let me go ahead and get rid of that. I don't have any subtypes. Oh, I do. I have two, email. So if you have subtypes, you can sort by the subtype and then the number of submissions and the attachments. A number of submissions and attachments, and then the posted date, those are all new. And we heard you all say that sometimes you need to process, for example, comments with attachments first. So here, of all the ones that I have, 105, I can sort those by attachments. And I can also sort them by the number of submissions. Now, what this relates to is the number all the way, or the field all the way at the bottom, which is the number of duplicate submissions. And that comes over from regulations.gov, or it could be entered by a user. And this is the number of comments that are received perhaps as a part of a mass mail campaign, or it would be coming from regulations.gov. If somebody went to a meeting of the Rotary, they made a comment, they passed it around, and then they had a sign-in sheet or sign-up sheet for people who agreed with it, and they scanned that in. That number can be changed by the submitter when they submit the actual comment on regulations.gov. And I do want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, because I do want to show you that we've changed the language to make it a little more clear so people really know what they're filling out, because I think it was a little confusing before. So this is not due till February 10th, so I can pull this one up. Here's the comment form button. If I attach any kind of attachment here, it's going to automatically populate this question. Did you attach files that contain comments from more than one person or entity? If I click yes, I get that number. And the number that I enter here, which is required once I click on yes, that's what shows up here in the number of duplicate submissions column. Now, obviously, we always have to check that if it came from regulations.gov to make sure somebody hasn't misunderstood. They're not really sure exactly what this means, and they just put numbers in. So just be sure that you check that, but that's how that number is populated. So let me go ahead and leave that because I don't want to make more work for the EPA. Now, one of the reasons that this is beneficial is remember that I have this set to show 10,000 at a time. If you go to, let me just go into this docket, show you, and I go to the comments. If I have more than 100 comments here, because it only shows me 100 at a time, then it's not going to sort this number. I'd have to look for it on all the different pages. So just be aware that when you're sorting things or looking for attachments, comments that have more than one attachment or numbers of submissions with more than one, it's really wise to use the search filter feature. Also, because if not, you also have to look through all the different types of statuses. And here I wouldn't have had to. I did sort them by pending post, but I didn't have to. And I do see that, in the posted comments, if I have more than one attachment in this one comment, but I had to look through all the different comments to find that one that had more than one attachment. So just kind of be aware of that. Also, remember when you're in the search documents, you're going to get the comments from both notice and proposed rule phase. So they'll all be in there together. All right, so do I have any questions right now on using, go to the search here, the persistent personal view, where I'm moving things and moving locations, or the show and hide? I'm going to go ahead and go back to a default and apply it. Or the types of the ways that you can filter your research, your results in the search tab. No?
I don't see
Okay.
anything in the chat there, Heidi, at all.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, the filters will not persist. So you can see that I went away from this, that particular filter setup and then came back, and this is no longer there. But I do want to show you a little trick. So, and you have to be logged into FDMS for this to work. But I set up a filter the other day. If I want to come back to the exact docket with the exact filters set up, I can actually add that, save the link in my book. I can bookmark it, or I can save the link somewhere and then come back later. So let me show you. I did actually save this. So you notice that I'm now in 2023-12, and here are the filters that I saved. And my show hide columns it didn't persist from then. It persists from now, I believe, because I do think I might not have set my show hide columns then. I can't promise you that, but the filters for sure do persist. So I thought that was kind of cool. But you do have to be logged into FDMS, because I was not logged into FDMS and I hit this training link that I had set up, and it didn't work. It didn't take me anywhere. So you have to be logged into FDMS. That's just a safety feature. All right, so let me go back here to my 2023-0032, and let me filter out of my 282. Let me only look for public submissions, and I'm only looking for my in review, I believe is the one I'm looking for. I'm going to filter those down. I have 168, but if I wanted to find a specific one, and you can see like capitalization doesn't matter, put in Brown, and I found 4 comments that have the word Brown in them, and that's in the title. Now, some agencies, their title, their automatic default title for comments might be comment on, and then it would give the Federal Register number, or it would give the document ID number here. And I just wanted to have you be aware that if that is the case, then every comment's going to have the exact same title. So searching for a specific comment is very difficult, if not impossible, especially if you have a lot. So let me go back. Actually, I'm going to show you that in a little bit. I'm going to show you the titling in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But so just be aware of the filters, the ability to save those and bookmark them, the persistence of the show hide columns and the movement of columns. So if you move it to a different location or you make it wider, those things are going to persist. So let me pop back to my PowerPoint here. I had to practice this a lot to make sure I didn't mess it up too badly. All right. So now we have our personalized view. How does this work? When the resizing of the columns, the movement of the columns, and the show hide feature. So how do these last, or when will they not persist? So here's your cheat sheet. If you leave the page, like today, if I close this out and came back in, it will persist. If I sign out of FDMS, it will persist. If I close the browsers, it will persist. Again, I can bookmark or save that URL and navigate to that specific one, and it'll actually save my filters as well. It will not persist if I am in incognito mode. It doesn't persist across different browsers. So right now I'm in Chrome. If I would enter an Edge, it's not going to persist. It doesn't work again across different computers. So I have a GSA computer and a contractor computer. So if I go to a different computer, it's not going to persist. And again, those search and filter options don't persist unless I bookmark it. So that wasn't quite sure how to make those balance each other out. But just so you're aware, that's when it will or will not work. So any questions about the persistent view? You guys are so quiet. No questions?
No
Okay.
questions there, but that persistence is very nice addition to the search and filter, because I mean, I know a lot of feedback from folks that are in it on a daily basis and they get tired of having to check the box or uncheck the box every time they go in. It's just nice to have the columns you use on a regular basis at your fingertips.
Right. And especially being able to bookmark it, because, I just named mine training, but you can name it like Mass Mail Campaign 15 or whatever. So you can name your bookmark, whatever you'd like, to make it easier for you to find later. So I'm going to go back into FDMS here in just a minute. I kind of already showed you how you can delete or change those show hide columns back to the original default, but let me show you. Let's go back in here to FDMS. I'm gonna have to get more proficient at this, Grant, so I can go faster. But again, to change these, you can either clear the cache in your browser, and everybody's browsers are different, but I clear my cache by going up here under the settings and going down to history, and then I can clear my cache. And if you just want to clear it from one specific place, you can do that. But you also can use the default tab and hit apply. So mine's already there. So if I remove those two and then I want to go back to the default, I just hit default, but don't forget to hit apply. To clear my filters out, just clear, and then you do have to hit filter. I know it seems a little odd because you're kind of unfiltering, but you do have to use the filter button to go backwards. All right, the next thing I want to show you, I've shown you the attached, let's go over here, the attachments and the posted, which is here, and the number of submissions. Now, where else do these show up? Posted only shows up here. This is the only place that you see that posted column is in the search. However, in your inbox, and this, remember, it's documents. In my inbox, I see the attachments, and I also see the number of submissions. So it's located here. It's also located inside the docket in the comments tab. I see my attachments and number of submissions. Remember though, it is showing up in each individual status. So they are there, but You still are going to have to look through every one of those, which is why that search and filter is so much more efficient, I believe, to look for those. And why would it be important for you to know, especially that number of submissions? Because sometimes your comments received box will not equal the number of, if you add all these up, the number of comments in the statuses. And that's because one comment, if one comment is worth, so I can find one here real quick. Oh, I don't have any. Shoot. Well, if one comment is worth more than one, then you need to be able to, show you the public, or if they ask you, why does the comment received not match what you have actually put up on regulations.gov, you have an answer and you can locate that easily. So like I said, that's not the best example. Let me see if this one. Yeah, so this one has 50. So 158 received, but I'm only seeing 109, and that's because this particular comment actually has 50 submissions associated with it. One example is to change the title. I know that there are agencies that do this. So this might say comment representing 50 submissions from, I don't know, I'm just going to say AAA. And that's what will be shown on regulations.gov. So that kind of provides information to the public so that they can go, oh, okay, I see why 49 are missing. It's not that they're missing, it's just that this isn't worth 1, it's worth 50. Here's that pagination again. All right. And you can see that the posted columns are not here. You also don't have the show hide columns feature inside the docket. It's only available in your inbox. It's also available in the search. Let me see what I want to have next. Remember, from your inbox, not your inbox, excuse me, from your search, go back to my document search here. You can use your filters here to process many, many comments, for example, at one time. So if I've got a lot of comments that I've already got in pending post, more than 100, let's say, because that's what I can see per page in my comments tab, I can filter those out. I have 105, so it would have taken, I would have had to do 2 different pages. Here, I can select all on the page, and I can either change the status or I can post those from here because they're in a pending post. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just change the status back to in review, because if I post too many, I can't take them out of post in mass. I can do them one at a time, but not in mass. Remember, anytime that you do anything with batch processing, this batch jobs link up here actually gives you the report. It does not give you a way to batch job things. It really should be called batch job reports, which is what it is. And I can see that yesterday, for example, I had 13 successes of moving comments from in review to pending post. 200 here going from pending post to in review. And let me show you, I think this is the one right below it, the batch job. In this case, I was trying to do a batch post and none of them worked. It skipped 3, and it'll give me the reason here why it was skipped. It skipped them because they were not yet in pending post. So if I try to post something that is in review, for example, the system unfortunately will let me go through that process, but it will catch it. It won't let these go ahead and be posted because I have that safeguard built in where it has to be in pending post before my system allows me to post them. Okay, any questions on the batch jobs report? Because I know sometimes that's a tough thing for people to find. They're waiting maybe for an email, trying to figure out, where can I tell if this actually worked? And this is the location that you would go to. And because it's fast today, it didn't skip any. It took all my pending posts and changed them all back to in review. So usually it is pretty quick. And remember, you can batch post from the search options from the document tab. So you have the ability to, any place you see select all on this page. If I go to my inbox which is a really great place to work from, by the way. And there is the ability to sort here. So if I, and again, we're going through different, if I have many different dockets I'm working within, in my inbox, I can process multiple documents from different dockets, which I think is really handy. So if I want to go to all my in reviews, and like this one, this set right here is for 0034. And then these are from 0027. So I could go and select all of my in reviews, even though they're from different dockets, and I can actually manage those all in one location, even if they're from multiple. In this case, I've selected 99, and I'm going to change that status to all those statuses to pending post. And again, my batch job will show me when that's finished. Probably not this fast. No, not yet, but it will come before the end of the session. All right. What if I'm working in my inbox and I have a docket that I'm part of a group that has been assigned all the in reviews for a specific docket. So if I look at 2024-0034, and I go to the docket view, and there's an assignments tab, and I can see I'm part of this May 22nd AAW group. So I have gotten all of, and that's why I see the docket in my inbox. And then here, I'm part of this training group that has all the in reviews, which means me and anybody else who's in this training group, me, Grant, Jackie, we all are going to see all of the in reviews in our inbox. So how do we know who's working on what? You know, we're working remotely, we're not together, we don't see each other every day. How do we know? So one of the ways that you can do that is you can, and from any location where you see, so this could be inside the docket, this could be in your inbox, wherever you see or can get to the details tab. If you go to the actions drop-down menu, there is a reassign button or link. When you hit that reassign link, it is going to allow you to reassign it to either yourself or, which it was already assigned to me, so, but this is assigned to me, it's taking it out of the group assignment. Or I can reassign it to someone else. Let's say that I'm going to be on vacation and I need Grant to do mine right now. Oh, I got to put Spencer in. So I'm going to have Grant take those. I'm going to reassign that one to him. Or if it's just something that's in deferred status, you're not quite sure what to do with it. And you as a user, maybe you're a rule writer, you're like, I don't know how to do this. This is not, this one's above me. So then you can go over and assign it to a different docket manager. There's Grant, reassign it to them. And so you can do that on a document by document basis. Several reasons for that. Again, like I said, sometimes it's because you need to assign it to someone else, or you need to get it out of a group and assign it to yourself. And here's how you can see who it's assigned to. See how it just got changed? Currently, this is assigned to me still. But these up here, I reassigned them. I'm not sure where that first one was that I reassigned. Right here, maybe. If I go in and I reassign this one, oh, I know what, never mind. It's going to disappear when I reassign it. It disappears from my inbox because remember, this is my inbox. So I'm only going to see things here that are assigned to me. So once I reassign it to someone else, I will no longer see it. Now you can reassign from inside a docket. So here's a bunch. So it's just going to use a pending post one just to show you the action. The reassign is also here. And then once I reassign it to somebody I've recently used, then it will update here and show me the current assignment. This is also where you can tell who's set the less status, by the way, just little FYI there. These were all set by the train administrator because they were actually, we haven't done anything with them yet. So any questions on the reassign action? Okay. Then I'd like to talk about the move option. So let me pop back over here to my, there we go, to my move. So most of you, I've looked at the user experience here. Most of you are familiar with FDMS, and so you probably are familiar with how to move an FR document to a docket. However, I do want to give you just a few things that might save you some time. If you move an FR document into the wrong docket, and that happens sometimes, but if you do that, you cannot fix that yourself. Because it's already posted, you will have to contact the help desk and ask them to move it for you. And here's something they cannot do. They cannot put that document, that FR document, back into the FR feed. It's not possible. So what they will ask you to do is to create another docket, or if you contact the person who maybe that FR document you moved, maybe there's a person in your agency who you think may have already made a docket, you can actually contact them, find out that docket ID, and then ask the help desk to move it into that docket ID. But they will want to know where you want it moved. So just make sure that that's something that you're aware of. You can, however, move an FR document to another phase within the same docket. So if you would happen to have uploaded the FR and notice of proposed rulemaking into a final rule phase because you made all your phases and you just happen to upload it into the wrong phase, we can move that yourself. So I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. That's moving the FR document. Now moving comments, again, anything that's already been posted can't be moved to a different docket. So just kind of be aware of that. However, you can move comments that haven't been posted to another phase or another docket. And the reason is because remember, those are attached to a specific FR document. And so if they've already been posted, then you can't move them because they're connected to the FR document. If they haven't been posted yet, that's not a problem. It can be moved to another phase in the same docket or even to another docket. All right, so let me go back into FDMS and let me show you how that works. Okay, share. Okay, can you guys see it? Regulations.gov again? Let me get some thumbs up.
The regulation, the CFDMS.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. FDMS. Thanks, Grant, for catching me. Yes, can you see FDMS? Right, sorry about that. Okay, so how can we move a document? So I'm going to go into, let's see here. I want to go to 2023-0046. Okay, so if I go into this docket, and what you're going to see is that I have three phases. I have a notice phase, an interim rule phase that doesn't have an FR document, and a proposed rule phase. Okay. What I accidentally did is this is actually not a notice, it's an NPRM, and it should have been in the proposed rule phase. So I put it in the wrong place. And currently, this one actually is withdrawn. So hold on. Is the proposed rule? Yeah, the proposed rule that I wanted to move into, into my interim. So I'll go over to my actions drop-down menu, just like you were moving the FR document. And I'm going to click on move. It's going to ask me to select the docket, but I'm going to have to select the same docket. I don't have an option. Because if I try to move it to another docket, it's not going to work. And then I'm going to choose my docket. And then the phase name. So currently it is in the proposed rule phase. Yes, currently it's in the proposed rule phase. Sorry about that. And I'm going to move it to my interim rule phase. Ask me if I want to move it. Do I? Yes, I do. And it's moved. And see that the number has not changed because it's still within the same docket. So when I go back in to my proposed rule, it's not there anymore. It's now inside the interim rule phase. So that is possible, even though it's posted. Not a problem. Okay, so just want to make sure we're all there. In order to move a comment, let's go into my comments here. In order to move a comment, for example, I have a comment here and I accidentally, I as a FDMS user uploaded it here, but it really needs to be in a completely different docket. It's in the wrong docket completely. So I'm going to go to my move in my actions drop-down menu. I am going to select a different docket, docket ID. Search for it. Here it is. Update. I've got to choose the sequence I want it to go in. And then I've got to pick the document because again, this is in this situation, we do have a docket that has more than one FR document. One of these might have been perhaps withdrawn. So I've got to pick the right one and then move it. Do I want to move it? Yes, I do. And now I'm going to get a completely new docket ID because remember the beginning of that, or document ID, because the beginning of that document ID is the docket ID. So we're here and it's kind of faded, so you may not be able to see it, but it's 2023-0046 draft. Now it's 2024-0001 draft. There also, the other reason you might need to use this, let me scroll back or go away and come back. And now that one is gone. There's nothing under new list, which was my actual status. Another reason that you may have to do this, if you've got more than one docket out there and somebody who's in the public, they just go in and they find the first docket by your agency that's open for comment and they make a comment, but you know it doesn't belong in this docket. It's on another Federal Register document. You can move it over to the other docket yourself. Or even if it's, I don't know that you'd ever have two different phases open at the same time, like a notice open at the same, or an advanced notice of proposed rulemaking, I wouldn't think would be open at the same time as a notice of proposed rulemaking in the same phase. However, you might have two notices if you're for like non-rulemaking, you might have two notices open at the same time and someone might accidentally comment on the wrong one. And as long as you don't post it first, you can move it. Okay, any questions about that? All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is withdrawing a document. And this is a pretty important thing to know how to do. And back on my slideshow here, you can see that all document types can be withdrawn after they've been posted. And so what that means is not only can a comment be withdrawn, but for example, you might have to withdraw a Federal Register document. If a Federal Register document gets posted before it's supposed to, or if it's got typos on it, you need to pull it down, then you can do that. And so I'm going to show you an example, but there has to be a reason given, and that reason is going to be shown on regulations.gov. So here's an example. It's hard to find them, but here's an example of a rule that was actually withdrawn, and the reason it was withdrawn is it says mistaken posting, and that does show. I got these live yesterday off of regulations.gov. Here's an example of a public submission. Now, they actually renamed it so that it didn't show that person's name. So they withdrew it. They changed the title, which might have said comment by Heidi Griffith, or I guess this is a company, so, comment from Home Finders. And then the reason for withdraw is the per company request. And the way you see this is by clicking on the title in regulations.gov. So let's go back into FDMS and let me show you how you can withdraw something. So if I have a comment, let's get a 2023-0046, good, I'm there. And I am going to want to withdraw a comment because let me go to my term rule. Okay, so just my evident term rule. So before I can withdraw one, let me find. Oh, I moved it. No wonder I was like, why don't I have one that's in pending post? It's because I moved it when I was doing all the moving around stuff. All right, bulk extract and not run deduplication. We'll go in this one instead. All right, so here is a posted comment. It's a comment from Nathan Paulson, and he contacted our agency and he said, you know, I changed my mind. I don't want that to be shown out on regulations.gov. Currently, it's shown under comment from Nathan Paulson. It has his name in it. So you could simply go into your actions drop-down menu and withdraw that comment. If you do, it's just going to ask me to put the reason in here why I'm withdrawing it, and then click on the withdraw button. The other thing I can do, kind of just to protect Nathan Paulson, is I can put, as that other agency did, I guess it was Agency Bureau of Industry and Security, I could just put comment withdrawn, and then the date, which is 2/5/25. And if I save that first before I withdraw it, okay, submitter info would still be filled out here. So I'd still know who it came from. Go ahead and withdraw it. Submit a request. Withdraw. I always have to, if you ever are trying to like see an update, you can either use your refresh button up on your browser, or you can just go to another tab and then FDMS will update in the background. But here it is now, it's withdrawn and I can see the reason, submit a request. Okay. Any questions on how to withdraw, in this case, a comment? And the same thing would be true if I needed to withdraw an FR document. It's already been posted. I can withdraw it. The reason might be that I've updated draft. Nice way of saying I made a typo. Withdraw that, close. And now it's withdrawn. But what if it's still open for comment, right? So like I've still got time in my comment start date. My due date's not until 22/54. It's kind of ridiculous, but what am I going to do if I didn't? Sometimes agencies will go ahead and they will publish another Federal Register document, in which case you would just bring it over from the feed. If it comes over from the feed, it's going to automatically update that due date. Or other agencies, what I've seen them do is upload their own document, and they've chose a notice, for example. They've found that FR document. There's my sample FR notice. Add the document. But if you do this, you have to enable the comment button yourself. Now, when it's withdrawn, it's going to pull that comment button down. So when you upload this new document, which is awaiting antivirus scanning, eventually, you need to change the due date or add the due date in. Okay, there we go. Now notice it's still in a draft. It's in pending post, but I have to post it. So I'll go over here and make sure it's in pending post. It says it is. Yep, it's in pending post. I am a docket manager. Oh, the abstract. This would have been filled in automatically, this particular field, since it's required, but I have to fill it in. And that's just an agency configuration. Depends on if your agency requires that. Save it. And I'm guessing there's keywords probably too that have to be put in. Oh, nope, there it is. And now my post button's live, so I can go ahead and post it. But just make sure that you have entered the comment due date in. I usually make mine way in the future. And save it. And this will update on FDMS within about 15 minutes. You can do it in either order, because you can do this after you've posted it, that's fine, or you can do it before you post. Either ways would work. So I go back to my documents. Now I have one that's withdrawn and one that's posted. And the comments from I already took comments on the original one, and they're here. And then when I get comments on the other document, they will be in this drop-down menu. So let's just pretend like people started, they're still making comments. And I'm going to show you where those will show up. I'm thankful for antivirus scanning, but it is a little frustrating, I think.
It's weird how sometimes it does hang up like this, and other times it's just super quick.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if it has to do with being in like being in a Zoom meeting.
It could be.
My computer just decides it's going to go a little slower. Okay, so over in the comments, remember I'm still in my notice phase, but I have comments that came in on the first document, FR document, before I had to pull it down because I had a typo in it. And then the ones that are in the second, that are coming in on the second, they will be here. So you do have that drop down menu, so don't forget about that. Unfortunately, when you run a deduplication, it doesn't run it. It only runs it on the documents that are tied to that specific document, even though they're really the same thing. They're just published a different draft. Currently, there is no way to run those together. If you have a lot of comments and you need to run those together, contact our help desk and ask them to run that deduplication with both sets for you. And I don't know that it would come out in the same folders inside, but they may be able to run that for you in the old-fashioned way, where they just give you the CSV file so you could see where those other comments would land. Hopefully you got it pulled out before you had, if you have a typo, before you have this many 82 comments. All right, so that's withdrawing a document and where to find things. And so the next thing we're going to talk about is redaction and restriction. What's the difference between those two? Let's go back to our PowerPoint and look at it. So redacting only works on the comment text. So when you go to the regulations.gov comment form, there is a place that holds 5,000 characters, I believe it is, where people can go in and comment, and they just actually type their own text. Restricting is going to work on the attachments to the comment, or even attachments to documents. Redacting does save the original and also the redacted version, so be aware of that. You'll be able to see both, but the redacted version will show up on regulations.gov, and it is the one that is used when you run a deduplication. So now, originally, if you ran it without doing the redaction and then later went back and reran it, it would change and use the redacted version. So restricting those files or attachments can be managed individually. And so just let me give you like just a little scenario here. If in your agency you get a comment and you're supposed to go in and read it, and when you read it, you notice that there are two attachments to the comment. The comment text is fine, but one attachment's a diagram that the submitter's drawn that goes right along with what they've commented on. No problem. It's not copyrighted. It's their own stuff. It's not offensive. No big deal. But the other thing that they submitted was their driver's license, which of course has PII, has that personally identifiable information on it. So you don't want to actually put that out on regulations.gov. So does that mean you can't put that comment out or that first attachment? It doesn't, because luckily you can manage those attachments individually. And there are some options for restriction. when we go into FDMS, you're going to see that there is metadata. There are those metadata fields underneath the attachments, which would be the title of the attachment. I think there's like something about an author of the attachment. There's some different fields you can fill in. So you could go ahead and choose to show the metadata, or you could restrict it all. Whenever you restrict something or a file, you have to give a reason. And I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. But let me go ahead and just give you a peek at what it does look like once it's in regulations.gov. Now this is the search. I searched for the word redacted just so I could find them. And so that's got all the redactions highlighted. But you can see that, for many years, I have lived next to the blank National Park refugee in blank county. So they've taken out a lot of information, primarily a ranger named, and they took his name out. And it doesn't say exactly what they're redacting, just that the words have been redacted. Here's what that looks like without the highlights. And that's what it would look like. So the word redacted is still there, but it's a little bit harder to see. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of make you aware of that. And then restricted documents look a little different. If it's restricted, this is a supporting related materials that's restricted, kind of odd, but it has the actual title. And then it says the attachment has copyright restrictions. And then the reason is that it's only available in paper. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but that's the reason that is listed. So when you click on this this title, normally you would either be able to you'd be able to download or view the attachment. In this case, you can't. It will take you to this explanation that says the content is restricted. And their reason for restricted was other. The options, as you're going to see, are going to be confidential business information, personally identifiable information, and copyright, and then other. So this is an example of other. So let's go back into FDMS and let me just go through that process with you. All right. So here we are in FDMS, and I'm going to find my redacting because I set some things up for you guys so we could kind of fly through this since we're getting toward the end of our time. Here's a comment that I have found. I put it in deferred so I could use it with you guys. And when I go to the submitter info and I look at the actual comment, I see that this person has included their name and their address, their city, their state, their zip code, and their phone number. And it is my agency's policy or procedure not to include this PII. I can include the person's name. I actually can even include, I believe, their state. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of it anyway. But if I go to my action, I can't do anything if I just click. So I'm clicking on here and I'm highlighting stuff and nothing happens. I'm right clicking, nothing happens. If I go to my actions drop-down menu and I go down to redact comment, it's going to give me, and unfortunately it's a very small window here and I apologize for that, but I'm going to be able to go in and I'm going to be able to highlight and delete the address, the phone number, and then I'm going to, so those are gone. I deleted them, and I'm going to click on redact. And now you see that that text is gone. But somebody comes in, Davi Patel comes back and says, hey, you took something out. So I actually can go back and redact that comment. I'm going to discard the data and redo it. And I'm going to, just so you know, you can do, before you save it, you can go back if you need to again, fix this, get rid of the address and the phone number. And then I'm going to put in brackets, redacted PII. You might put phone number, you just might put the word redacted, depends on what your agency's rules are. So I've redacted, I've got the word redacted PII, but I also am able to show the original. So I do still have the original. If anybody asks me, what did you take out? I can still show them. So that is available. I can hide the original, but if I want to see it, I just go in and click on show original. Now I do have to save the changes. Okay, let me show you this one more time. I noticed that this one also has phone number, email, and address. I'm going to go to my actions, redact the comment, go in and find it. And I'm going to take out her address and put in my brackets, redacted address. And then I'm going to go up and locate the phone number, delete that. And redact the email. And this time I'm not going to even put redacted or email because it's the context of the sentence makes sense. Redact. Go down and save it. Show the original. It's still there. But I also missed something. Let's say that I missed something up here and there was something else I needed to redact. I can still go back and redact more from that comment. Now, this is not something that really needs redacted, but I'm going to go ahead and just take this out to show you the example of what you can do. Just so you know. And now, after I save it, I've got a new redacted version with this redacted. Now, it does not save the middle one. So like the one that I didn't have this redacted in, it didn't save that. It only saves the original and the most current redaction that I've done. All right, so my restriction example, restrictions found under my attachments. Here's the copy of someone's Social Security card. I've got copy of Social Security card here. And then I've got the actual Social Security card. Abstract, if that's something my agency has, I can fill that out if I needed to. There's an agency note. Those are all things that are available for your agency. But I'm going to restrict the metadata only. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave copy of Social Security card on here, just because that's what my agency lets me do. But I am going to say that it's PII and save it. And now that posting, that particular attachment will not be able to be viewed. They will not be able to see that PDF. The diagram related to the comment, no restrictions on that one. That one can be saved. And then once I post it, that's when the redaction will actually take place. Or excuse me, the restriction will actually take place. And restricted attachments won't be run in the deduplication report. In this case, I'm going to reorder them, and here's a good reason to reorder them, because maybe I do want the diagram or the second attachment. Maybe I do want that to go through the deduplication process. And remember that only the very first attachment is going to go through the deduplication process. And I'm going to save it. Make sure no changes to save. And so that is how you restrict and redact comments. One more thing to show you guys. Let's go back to
Heidi, there's a question there from Iris about
sorry.
what's the metadata that's shown there?
In this case, the metadata that would be shown would be the title of the comment. So it would say, in this case, copy of Social Security card. Now, I don't know that in this particular case I would include that metadata, but let's just say that it was the name of a brochure that was copyrighted, right? So if the brochure, I might want to leave, I'm just making this up, Great People brochure. I might want to leave that metadata title there so people could go and look for it themselves. And my posting restriction would be metadata only. It would be for confident or copyrighted information. And that way somebody could go and look that up. So that's a really good reason for leaving the metadata. But anything that has a globe is what's going to show up. So in this case, for my agency, if I had an abstract, it would show up. Authors, if there was if I wanted to put in the author, for example, of that pamphlet, making stuff up here, I could add that in. That would show up. How many pages is it? It's 2 pages. No, any of these things, that would be the metadata, quote unquote, that would be showing up. Can we get a live example from regulations with metadata shown, but the attachment restricted? I can look for one, but I will be honest with you, it was like pulling teeth last night trying to just find the example I showed you. I don't know if it just doesn't get done a lot or what, but the one I showed you earlier did not have the metadata. But I will definitely try to get one of those and send it to you all. But that's kind of a rough thing for me to find, unfortunately. All right. So where am I at? Where am I at here? Let me go back to sharing the titling because I want to get done before we. Okay. So can you guys all see screen 1 now with my PowerPoint, I hope? Good, Grant?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So
Mhm.
here are some examples of titling that I took right from regulations.gov. Now, the first two comment on BC, which is the agency name 2023-0011-0031. This is the 31st comment on that particular docket. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's the 61st comment. It's down here on that document. Here's an example of comment on FR Doc 2015-03391. Now, these two, every single comment that's made, this is the default configuration right here, by the way. And every comment that's made is going to have the same title. Same with this one. Every comment's going to have the same title. So here are some examples, and those are the first one is the default. The second one is actually it's a custom. You can do that. Here are some others that are custom comment titles. Comment from first name, last name, comment from last name, comma, first name, and then comment from the actual, like if somebody associates or, excuse me, identifies themselves as an agency, the head of an agency, or on behalf of the agency, then it's going to enter that in automatically. So I did have a user the other day, and he said he has to go in every time and enter like the people's last names or the first name, last name. And then if it is somebody who is getting a comment from like an agency or an organization, he said he has to actually go in and then put the like maybe the president's name or the person. So unfortunately, I could get him to this point where it said comment from National Medical Association, but he's still going to have to go in and put comment from and then enter that person's name on behalf of National Medical Association because that is his agency's process. But at least he doesn't have to put in the comment from National Medical Association. That's already going to be automatically put in for him. So if any of these titling options are looking good to you, if your agency is using one of these two and it's hard for people to find their own comments, hard for you all to find comments, be sure and contact me or have your agency admin contact me, and I can show you where in the admin module you can set that up and change that. And it will change legacy documents as well. All right. Okay, well, I think, oh, FR feed. Oh my goodness. Talk quick, Heidi. This is the first time I've done this one, guys, so I wasn't quite sure how this was going to work out. But let me explain to you what you can do with your FR feed. If your FR feed has a ton of stuff in it and it's super old, a couple of different reasons why that might happen. First of all, it might happen because if it's a final rule and no one's collecting comments on it, then people in the past just might not have moved it over to the docket because why? It's not taking comments. Same option for notices. Sometimes old notices, if they didn't have comments on them, then maybe somebody just didn't move it into a docket because why bother? It's not got comments on it, so I don't need to initiate that particular action. So suggestions that I would have is either to create a holding docket. If you create a holding docket that just says archived FR documents, you could ask um, sorry, I can ask our help desk if they will move those over for you. Or you can create a docket for each one of them, which is also fine, and move them into individual dockets. Or you can go back and find the FR document or docket that may already be there. So especially if it's a final rule, there might be a docket already created that it just needs this one moved into it. And so that would be just doing a little research on your own, finding out what was this rule, and then going using the search and filter topics to try to find that titled docket and then move that into the titled docket. Now, all of these documents are already on regulations.gov. They already exist there. So it's not like you're having to do anything new as far as, like just now publishing it. It's already published. Yeah, no problem. I'm so sorry. I'm getting really got really behind there a little bit, but so just if you would like to create a holding docket and ask the FDMS help desk to move those, that is a very simple ask. Just use the contact us at the bottom of the FDMS.gov um, website, or here you go. You can go to the FDMS help desk at gsa.gov. You can submit it there and ask them to move those for you. So, whew, lots of fastness at the end there. I do hope that you found this information helpful. I know we covered a lot. We moved quickly, and I do apologize for that. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I will stay on the call longer in case somebody has something that they want to ask. But Grant, I'm going to ask you if you'll stop that recording now.